Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Lovely to have you with us. I see more people joining in as we go, and I know we'll end up with more. We had 90 registrants for the afternoon session, so I hope it would be a good session, and you would enjoy being with us. I would love to start with saying Happy International Consultants Day, everyone. I hope you enjoyed celebrating it on the 3rd, and I hope today we make justice to all the efforts that you do in celebrating you and your achievements. It's a day that is set by ICMCI, celebrated by ICMCI, but I know that everyone else is hearing of it as well. We're making it truly international. You deserve it. So, again, happy International Consultants Day. This session, like always, everyone would be mute. If you have a question to any of the speakers or to Dwight or myself, please include that in the chat and I'll moderate. Um, as you know, we're talking today about the standards, we're talking about our achievements, we're talking about the achievements of our volunteers as well. First, I would love to start with the opening speech from our chair, Dwight Mihalets. So please, Dwight, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Rima, and thank you to all for attending this session. I'm delighted that there's such a great turnout, and plus you are the lucky ones because we've all had a practice round already in the earlier session that was attended mostly by Asia, so we've had a chance to say some of these things before. But I'm really looking forward to sharing these ideas with you and getting your feedback and your questions and seeing where we go from here. And thank you also to the speakers. I thank you for giving up your time for two different sessions to share some of the really exciting activities that we have underway at ICMCI and to help you see how this is impacting on the future of our profession. And we do have an exciting future ahead of us. 2020 was quite the year for us in terms of our client organizations, in terms of society generally, and in terms of the profession of management consulting. It just shows how quickly things can change. COVID, to me, was a real wake-up call that disruption can come from anywhere, and it can happen more deeply and more broadly than one might ever expect. And it's also taught us a lesson, and it's taught us a lesson that in terms of change and pivoting, our client organizations and we as the consulting profession can pivot more quickly than we thought we might have been able to. And this is really important because the pace of change is increasing, and it's increasing significantly. So we as a profession need to stay ahead of the curve. And it's events like this and people who are doing work like you will be hearing about today that really helps us to ensure that we are leading with best practices and we are able to help our clients and society in the absolute best way possible. So you will see that all of the sessions that you'll be hearing about today are talking about the future of our profession and how we are reacting to what's been happening in the world and how we're moving forward. One thing that really sticks out to me from the work that I've been doing with our member institutes and with my colleagues around the world is that the perception of clients about professional services is changing. Access to knowledge is greater than it's ever been. But also access to expertise. Specialized expertise is now available as part-time labor, as those who purport to be consultants, but really are just recently retired or just recently graduated, and also from the management consulting profession. So when I talk about this, I talk about the Uberization of consulting, that very often from the client organization perspective, they can go online, find a consultant and move ahead with the work. So we in the profession really do need to lead the way to show that value add that as a professional management consultant, we are bringing more to the table, this diagnostic capability to get to root cause and really help clients implement change in sustainable ways. So thanks to all of you who are helping to advance the work of our profession. Thanks to those of you who are on this call with us, because it shows that you are really interested in how we can collaborate together for the best of the profession overall. So rather than me talk about it, it's a great agenda. Why don't I give this back to Rima and let her introduce our first speaker. And I'm just looking forward to join with you to hear what they have to say. So thanks again for attending.
Thank you, Dwight. Thank you, our chair. And yes, it is an agenda that talks about the excellence, the profession of management consulting, and how we can turn it into even more professional by the support of everyone with us. And one of our greatest supporters, actually, and people who've been working with for the past few years are the EBRD. Two ladies are with us who are going to tell us about standards, how they are implemented at the EBRD, and how they serve their purpose of spreading the work of management consulting. And I would love to start with introducing them. First, I'll introduce Nadia. Nadia Petkova is the Director Regional Network SME Finance and Development at EBRD. She has 20 years of professional experience in banking, portfolio management, and financial analysis. She spent 18 years at EBRD and she assumed responsibility of the management of the SMEs Finance and Development Regional Network. Um, We've met her once, I remember, at the headquarters in the UK and actually left such a beautiful impression. So, welcome, Nadia. The other person is Natalia Makova. She joined us in the morning during the morning session and now she's joining us again. Natalia has been working with EBRD for the past 15 years. Most of you have met her, most of you have worked with her. She's the principal SME Finance and Development Group at EBRD. And one of the main things that she does is, and now is part of her duties, is that she's responsible for the launch and implementation of the capacity building training programs. So, ladies, thank you for being with us. The floor is yours, Nadia. So, please.
Well, thank you
Thank you.
for the kind words. I'm actually delighted to be able to join. First, for inviting me and for having me here. It's I think it's without any doubt, as Dwight was saying, that the importance of professional management, of professional advisory work and consulting has become ever so great during the last couple of years, but especially during the crisis times of COVID. And you have all felt it very well. I wanted just to say a few words before passing the floor to Natalia, who will give you more the details. But I just wanted to say that we at EBRD, we know very well how important professional advice is, because we have been doing this for over 30 years with our clients in our countries of operation. And more specifically, my team is the team which does advisory work to SMEs. And SMEs are extremely important for the majority of the countries in the world, not only where EBRD operates. So that's why I just wanted to mention to all of you that if there is an international finance institutions which knows and holds the advisory work to SMEs at its heart, it's definitely EBRD. And what has taught us actually the last 1 year? I think it's very important, as Dwight was saying, the crisis has taught us a lot, especially for your profession, for our engagement in the advisory field. It has taught us how indispensable it is for the building of capacity of the SMEs, not only for them to be able to access finance, but sometimes for them to be able to survive these difficult times, because for some of our clients, it has been a time of survival, and how we as you as consultants, as professionals, were able to help the SMEs in this difficult journey. So from that perspective, we at EBRD have seen actually two main challenges, and I'm sure you can relate to that. The first is that the crisis has brought an unprecedented challenge in terms of how we deliver advice to clients, how we deliver and share knowledge and expertise. It's like a little bit like with the doctor, with the lawyer. It's usually about establishing trust, and usually the face-to-face meetings, and numerous of those, are the basis for that. Hey, but the crisis has come. We need to do that online. We need to do that on Zoom. This has made your work extremely challenging, but also opened new opportunities. And we have proven this to ourselves. Since the onset of the crisis at EBRD, we almost shifted all of our advisory work to SMEs in the digital space. And we were not sure where we're going to land. I mean, how are the SMEs going to accept that? How the owners of small businesses in northern Tajikistan are gonna take a Zoom call and talk to us. But we have proven to ourselves and to many of our clients have been super resilient and continued to receive advice online. And I'm sure I'll hear more about that from you, because I'm very, very curious to hear also your experience. So it's inevitable that there will be a change. We will go back to some form of normality, but I would say the hybrid model will continue to exist. We'll need to have something for both face-to-face meetings as well as digital delivery of advice and know-how. So this is the first challenge, and I just wanted to make a note of that. The second one is the shifting priorities in the world. Everybody is talking more and more about being more green, being more inclusive, being more talking about sustainable supply chains. So a new expertise and knowledge will need to be built in all these areas in order to be able to respond to the needs of the market. So just wanted to share with you these two reflections, which we have learned, and we are still learning how to do best in the space of the consultancy and advice to companies. But how do we do it at EBRD? And going back now to my few slides, which I wanted to share for those who are not familiar with our model. First and foremost, we have put the advice to SMEs, to businesses at the heart of EBRD. The Small Business Initiative is one of the main strategic initiatives of the bank. And this is one of our differentiating factor amongst other IFIs, because we work directly with SMEs, not only through intermediaries, but directly. We finance directly SMEs, and we also provide advice. So we developed a toolbox in order to be able to respond to all the needs of the SMEs. First, obviously, one of the most critical one is working through partner financial institutions to provide liquidity in the market and to be able to reach these small clients which we cannot reach directly, the micro. Then, of course, we do direct financing to SMEs, which is a difficult process for us because we are more equipped to do big infrastructure projects, but still we aim and we do every year around 60 to 80 direct investments in SMEs because we think it's important. We also co-finance with banks and where we share risks on SMEs. But a main pivot of our toolbox is really the business advice, because an SME will not go to the bank unless it is ready and equipped to do that. The business advice which we provide prepares companies, transmits the knowledge, the expertise, the know-how which SMEs need in order to be able to achieve, whether it's financing, whether it's access to new markets, whether it's access to new clients, etc. So business advice is very, very important. The last building block, and very important in the picture, is our work with governments and stakeholders in our countries of operation in order to be able to establish a conducive environment for SMEs to be able to grow and thrive. An important thing, and if we can move to the next slide of our business model, is our presence on the ground. These are the countries of operations where at the moment currently EBRD operates. We do that through over 40 offices, and it's not only in the capital. So take Kazakhstan, for example. We are not only in Almaty, we have 7 other offices. Why? Because it's important to be close to our clients. We should be fooling ourselves if we think that we can service SMEs in Ust-Kamenogorsk from Almaty. It just doesn't happen. You need to be close. So our boots on the ground are the most valuable thing for our clients, because we are closer to them, we understand their needs. We have more than 200 people in the field available to service our clients. And as I mentioned, if we can move to the next slide very quickly, just wanted to mention how important for EBRD the alignment with the UN Sustainable Goals has become. And this is just an overview of the main products which we have for SMEs, which are aligned fully also with the Sustainable Development Goals. One of our flagship programs, which we do through partner financial institutions, is the Women in Business program, running successfully for over 10 years. Recently launched, last year actually, we have launched a new program in youth and the skills in business for our young entrepreneurs in North Africa, to be expanded further. And few others, of course, which I already mentioned before. One thing which I wanted just to emphasize here is the support, with increasing support, which we are able now to provide to innovative startups through our Star Venture program. Again, currently active in North Africa, some Balkan countries and EU countries, with the idea to expand further. Let me stop here. I'll pass the floor to Natalia, who will dive into more details. But again, thank you very, very much, Rima, for inviting me to this.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Nadia. Thank you, my dear. Natalia, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rima, and thank you, Nadia, for a wonderful introduction. So I will just take over from here. So all of these programs have different components, and business advice is an integral part and is one of the crucial components of all these programs. And we have a big network of consultants. So I just looked up the recent figures, and we have a network of 10,000 consultants in 30 countries. And we worked with them on over 33,000 advisory projects. It's a huge, huge network. And our people, our colleagues on the ground know all of them personally, and they are in constant touch with them. So we felt that we need to find our role to help them growing and developing. And we do it via different ways. We do training programs. They are quite popular. So a few years back, we launched a series of trainings called Grow Your Consulting Business that includes 8 courses currently. And when we started, it was a very short list of courses, from how to start a consulting business, management consulting essentials. But then we kept developing, adding change management for consultants. And the recent addition is the new course called Overcoming Distance, Consultancies Through Crisis and Beyond, which focuses on the new skills consultants need to develop when they, first of all, they cannot visit the clients the way they used to. They need to do it remotely. They need new skills. They need new tools to do a diagnostic of a client business when they cannot visit it as many times as they want. But also, this new reality opens new opportunities. Exporting consultancy services become easier, right? The market is getting much more global. So all of this needs to be considered, discussed, and brainstormed about. And this is what this last course is about. I'm also very happy to say that we worked with ICMCI when we started designing the courses. And the core course, the Management Consulting Essentials one, is actually built around ICMCI Consultancy Competency Framework that I understood you are updating, so we will have to update the course. So Nick will be talking about the new approach to the competency framework later. And Nick is one of our trainers and one of the godfathers of this course. So he was involved from the very, very beginning. So I was very happy to see him this morning. Also, a few years ago, 3 years ago, we added a new module on ISO 2700 standard to the Management Consulting Essential course, and our participants that attend the course and complete this module, they can and are trained on how to use the checklist, the ICMCI checklist. They get certificates from ICMCI that they can use for their marketing purposes. And so we're quite happy how this initiative is developing. And over the years, we trained 5,000 local consultants, which is quite impressive. It's quite impressive. We also do some other activity for consultants, whatever is required locally. We have various networking events, international conferences. Well, in the pre-pandemic world, we have done 2 international conferences. Rima participated and presented in both conferences, which was very great. We also do consultancy market review. We do it every second year to, to feel what's happening on the ground. What are the new emerging services that we maybe need look into supporting? What are the training needs of consultants, and that needs to be addressed and would require new courses. So we try to be in touch individually with local consultants, but also via this more wider developments. And this is something I'm very proud to share with you. Sorry. So these are the results. So for us, when a consultancy project implemented by a consultant for a client company, when the project finishes, it's not finished for us. We would come back to every client 1 year after to look at the results, to see if they're still happy with what was done as part of the consultancy project, and they use the results, and if the project helped them grow. And these are the data. So these are the figures for the last 3 years. And you can see that the majority of the clients increased their turnover and grew their jobs. And here we're talking about small and medium-sized companies. These are not corporates. And you can see that these companies cumulatively grew their turnover by almost 4.5 billion. You can see that this company increased their productivity, and even export, which is maybe not very typical for small and medium-sized company, even export of these companies that worked with local consultants grows. We are quite happy to see these results, and that's why we have this system, to monitor these results, because this is how we see that actually our program work on the ground. And another thing I would like to mention here is that before we start working with these companies, very few of them had previous experience with consultants, very, very few. About 80% of them, for them, is the first experience. And 1 year after completing the first consultancy project with our engagement, 38% of the companies proceed with working with consultants independently. So this is how we see that we contribute to promoting consultancy profession and promoting the benefits of consultants to the clients that might never heard of what consulting is, or never, even if they heard, they never used consultants again. So these are the results, and as I said, we are quite proud of them. But in the end of the day, these are, even though we manage these programs and they are funded by our donors, they are implemented by consultants on the ground. And this is a right moment for me to wish you a happy International Consultants Day. And that's it from us. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalia. Thank you, Nadia. I feel like we're with family when we're talking to the EBID team, and you actually reflect that, because you speak of our competency framework, you speak of our values, you talk about our profession in a manner where we're trying to let everyone talk of in that manner. So thank you. We always appreciate the effort that you put. I hope we'll go on working together till ever and ever, amen, and we spread what the best practice of management consulting is worldwide. Thank you, and it's always a pleasure to have you with us. And Natalia, you were talking about the training, you were talking about the use of management consulting, and you were talking about a consulting market review. I might get back to you on that and maybe ask you for the results. But for now, we have another type of review that we present every year. We started with that last year during the International Consultants Day, and today we're going to present the second version. And that would be our Robert Bodenstein presenting that to us. Robert is a vice chair at the board of ICMCI. He's part of the National Consulting Task Force, and he's the one to be presenting today. Robert, unmute, share, and tell us what this is all about.
Okay, let me switch. Everything's fine?
All's well. Please
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rima, and thank you very much for your introduction. Well, the National Consulting Index, you all know, we presented the full version, the first full version of the National Consulting Index last year. That was one of the first virtual events we held at the beginning of the pandemic situation. And I really remember very good this presentation and our discussion after that. And it was a very, well, it was a new situation for us. And that's more than a year ago. And this is how time goes by. And Corona is still with us. And the impact on our business is still with us. The year 2020, I'm sure, is an extraordinary year for the whole economy, but it's especially also for our consulting market. Nevertheless, we said we want to continue with this report, the National Consulting Index report, and we want to make it every year. But we cannot do as business as usual. Therefore, we decided to do a new version, a special version, a special edition, and that's why it's called the 2020 Special Corona Edition. Well, first of all, we are talking about 2020 and 2021. So 2020 is always, the National Consulting Index is always looking into the past. How developed the environment for delivering management consulting services, what has been improved, what has been changed, and how could the countries benefit from the economic situation with regards to delivering management consulting services. This year we decided, don't let us look into the past, let us look in the future. And let's see how are we expecting will the market develop, and what would be the outlook for 2021, although we are already in the middle of 2021. Therefore, we changed the methodology, and the methodology usually was to rely on other indices we were using. And this year we decided, don't let us rely on indices looking in the past. Let us change the approach and the methodology and approach our members and ask them how do they feel, how would they say would the market develop, what would be the estimate size of the consulting market sector in 2020, and further on, what would it be in 2021? And in addition, we asked what were the reasons for the changes. Now, we know that this is a look in the glass bowl. It's not. It's not a look in the past. So we always have to do a sort of prediction. It is not something we can rely on, and we sure know that these figures just give us an orientation. But talking about these figures, I think that the outcome at the total, it gives us a very good indicator what would be the size of the market at the end of 2021. And that's the result. We have 35 responding IMCs. Thanks a lot for all the IMCs who responded. I know it is very hard to do these predictions, but it helped us in total a lot. And next year, when we ask, maybe we get all members to respond. It is very interesting that the variance is very high. It's from -60% to +43%. That is there. It is hard to see a pattern. We investigated and we're looking about how is there a pattern. In general, the highly developed market are doing quite better than the not so developed market. But for those markets who are not very high developed, the funding of funded business seems to play a high role. So that might be one of the reasons for these high variances. And I have to mention that this definition of revenue is not compatible with the previous NCI, as I mentioned at the beginning. But in total, we expect a growth of 5% for 2021. Half of the year is already over, and the first half of the year was not very much growing. It might be growing, so it's a total view, and I think it should give us a positive and optimistic view of the market development. There is a difference when we look at the different hubs, and especially when we compare not only the percentage but also the total amount of revenues. On this slide, you see the blue is the difference in percent, and the black dot is the difference in total million of US dollars. And there you can see that in the Americas hub, I have to say it's US only, the growth in terms of percent is not as high, but in total amount, it is, of course, it's increasingly very good. And this session is mainly for the Americas and Europe, but I also see many friends from Asia here and from Africa, but it gives us an indicator also for the development of Europe. I think Europe is developing quite well. It's not the highest growth, and not in terms of percentage, but also not in terms of total amount of revenue. Africa is very optimistic. A little bit less optimistic seems to be the Asian region, and that might have some root causes very specific to the different countries. Overall, I have to say, if we group the countries by baskets, growth, loss, no changes, high growth or high loss. High means more than 20% decrease or more than 20% increase. We have the biggest number of countries in the basket with regular growth. That would be something between +0 and +20%. And we still have 5 member countries who expect an increase of the market of more than 20%. And we do have 4 countries that expect a decrease of more than 20%, and 6 countries, they expect a decrease of up to 20%. So to summarize the findings, collectively, we are predicting a 5% increase over the year 2020 to 21. 17 of these countries were anticipating a raise in general, as I mentioned before. And in terms of those countries with a large management consulting sector, 5 countries are expecting a raise. It's only Australia that is expecting a small reduction. So finally, to come to the conclusion, in general, larger national management consulting markets are more positive, as I mentioned already. And as I already mentioned, there is a great variability about the future of the management consulting market. And we need to dig a little bit deeper to understand what's really the difference and to understand that. And I'm looking forward to have the next NCI published in next year, and maybe we learn a little bit more of, about this specific situation. So this is it from my side. I wish you all a happy Consultants Day. I want to say thank you to the members of the task force, especially to Gergana, to Tamara and Simon. Did I forget somebody? No, Rima, of course. And yes, I'm looking forward. Maybe we have time for a discussion for 1 or 2 questions, but I'll hand it over to you, Rima, to know more about the time schedule.
Thank you, Robert. And yes, if anyone has a question, you can include it in the chat. We'll moderate questions later, or the easiest would be just drop us an email. Again, this is continuous work. We had the launch last year. This is the update for the COVID version, and next year it would still be yet another version. Our markets are evolving, we are evolving, and therefore the NCI would continue to be renewed every year. So thank you, Robert. Thank you, team, for everything that you've done for this report. And since we're talking about the market, we would need to start talking about the framework, what the ICMCI does in order to make sure that we serve our market properly with standards and with proper competence. So the mic would go now to Nick Warren, whom I believe everyone knows. He's our Professional Standards Committee chair. Since last year, they've been working on elevating our competency framework, and Nick will be telling us all about that. Nick, the mic is yours, my dear.
Okay, thank you very much, Rima, and good to see so many friendly faces on board from people that I've met face to face, and hope to meet face to face once again someday. So I just want to talk as briefly as possible, but covering all the ground necessary, about the work we've been doing. And I'm guessing my display is not showing correctly at the moment, as usual.
Correct. Now all is well.
Hopefully now we're okay. There you go. Despite all the practice this morning. Okay. I want to cover 3 topics in the talk this afternoon. First of all, just to set the scene with the current view of where our profession is globally. But then a view for the future, certainly from our ICMCI point of view, and then to talk about the Professional Standard Committee's work that we've been doing to provide some components to enhance the excellence of our profession. Looking first of all at where we are at the moment as a global professional management consultancy, it is true that every day thousands of management consultants, probably hundreds of thousands of consultants, provide good, valuable service to clients around the world. And our profession is really one of the most successful in terms of its value added to client organizations. But we are also one of the least regulated occupations in the world. And that leads to some issues which continue to dog the profession. So, despite our exponential growth, and that from what we heard from Robert looks as though it's going to continue, and the elite status that consultancy is given in some parts, we are fairly continuously beset by the odd scandal and criticism from clients, from governments, from the media, from the press, and so on. And our lack of regulation is one of the contributors to this. Although, there are some patches where regulation works. There are at least 1 or 2 countries in the world where the profession undergoes some sort of regulation, effective to certain extents. And of course, programs like that run by the EBRD, where there is a good amount of regulation in terms of the engagement of the right suitable consultants, works as well, as evidenced in the outstanding results that Natalia was able to show us. But the issues we face are that, first of all, the lack of regulation and the lack of overall global standards makes it difficult for clients to evaluate the quality of consultants and assess the value of the work that they do. The process of consultancy between consultant and client can often lack transparency as well. In a lot of aspects, it's still a bit of a black art, and clients don't really understand a lot of what should go on in terms of a consultancy assignment. And then again, we see, certainly in the case of the larger consultancy organizations, the fact that the financial rewards from the big sort of national projects, that the level of financial reward is so great that there is a temptation to oversell and basically underdeliver, which doesn't do our profession any good at all. So we have ethical codes. They vary around the world, and nothing is universally adopted. And because of that, there is perhaps a lack of teeth in what goes on. So it's not a completely bad picture, but it does mean to say that we have a lot more work to do. And ICMCI is at the forefront of the work in enhancing the reputation of our global profession, driving not just economic success for our clients, but also contributing to the social, environmental, ecological success in the world. So it's not just about profit, it's about people and planet as well. And the work of the Professional Standards Committee within ICMCI is to develop and maintain a set of standards and guidelines that help ICMCI fulfill that vision and mission that they have. So we're involved in producing awards, certifications, qualifications, and importantly, the assessment processes for those things to assist the board in being able to publish those. And as you heard, we've got a couple of new things or updated things coming up for publication later in the year in October. So I want to just sort of talk about now the three elements of excellence that PSC have been working on now for a while, and how we hope that these will go to contribute towards the enhancing of our reputation and leading towards an enhancement of excellence in our profession. Firstly, to do with competence, the skill and the ability and the knowledge of consultants to actually do the job properly and add value to the client in the assignments that they run. Secondly, the behavior of consultants in terms of dealing with client people, with their own colleagues, with others that they come across within the profession. So working on a set of core values that set a good standard of behavior for consultants. And thirdly, the process of managing a consultancy assignment to make sure that every consideration that needs to be looked at in terms of running an assignment are covered, are documented where necessary, but at least every policy that needs to be looked at is covered within a consultancy assignment. So we see these three components as being key to building the excellence of our consultants in the work they do for the future. Going into a little bit more detail of each one, the competence framework, which is that body of related abilities, knowledge, skills, experience, and commitment that a management consultant should demonstrate in order to achieve the CMC award, for instance. We are updating that competence framework from the 2014 edition that's been in use since then. And we've got it split into 4 areas that contribute to, that complete picture of competence: business insight and aptitude, the general business knowledge that a consultant should have about the client businesses they're working with and the consultancy business itself. Then all of the practice capabilities within consultancy, all the tools and the techniques and the methodologies and the approaches that a consultant has to have in their toolbox. And then the behavior of consultants within consultancy assignments, and also not in the assignment, but in how they do their marketing and their selling and their follow-on activities and all their professional work. So the behavioral standards we expect of consultants. And lastly, the area of ethical and professional conduct in terms of fulfilling client requirements, client focus, but in a wider sense now, to fulfill the wider requirements of society as well. And in that respect, we're also updating our code of conduct for consultants and building on the original code of conduct we have to include the newer elements that are now absolutely essential for consultants in terms of providing excellence. So it's not just anymore about looking after clients' interests, although that is of prime importance. It's also looking after the interests of society at large. It is profit, people, and planet that consultants need to be considering in their professional conduct now. Also, the responsibility to serve the interests of the organization for whom they work, whether it's for themselves or for a large organization. And that means not only promoting that organization, but it does mean calling that organization to account if they see that unethical and unprofessional conduct is taking place. So it is a two-way street in terms of serving the interest of the organizations. Again, nowadays, we all have to look after the well-being of the people that we work with. We have to have a responsibility for those who work for us and those who work with us. And so, therefore, we've built in to the new code of conduct items of how we serve the interest of the colleagues we work with as well. And lastly, obviously, serving the interest of the profession by enhancing its level of excellence by ensuring that its reputation grows and that all measures are taken to prevent some of the scandals and some of the bad practice that we've seen happening in the world so far. And then lastly, of course, we must talk about the ISO 20700 standard and the checklist which ICMCI has developed, which represents the best practice in application of that standard in a consultancy project. Now, the ISO standard is open for everyone. It's not owned by ICMCI, but ICMCI, although it was the driver for that standard being produced, now takes ownership of the best use of the standard by promoting the checklist, the project self-declaration checklist, as best practice for the application of the standard. It's comprehensive. It covers everything that a consultancy assignment should have within it, all the considerations. It's universal, applicable to any type of client and any type of assignment. but it's flexible in application to different client situations based on size, complexity, the level of relationship between the client and consultant that's already been built up, and many other aspects, all of which go together to a joint partnership using the checklist between client and consultant to agree exactly how the checklist will be used. So the benefit that comes out of it is, for the clients and for the consultants, there's a common framework in which both of them can agree and work together. It prevents any misunderstandings because all of this lot is sorted out by the use of the checklist. And also, it actually is a good aid for clients for them to be able to evaluate the quality of the consultant who's worked for them, and also to assess the value of the work which has been done. So those are our three components of excellence that we're working on. The new competence framework, the new code of conduct will be published at the annual meeting in October. ISO 20700 and the checklist have been in operation now for a couple of years, growing in recognition, growing in popularity, and growing in use globally. So I'm sorry I've probably overrun, which hopefully means there's no time for questions.
Well, there is one question in there for you that I noted, and it's about where can we find the ISO 20700 checklist. Afrah, I think you're a member of IMC USA, and each institute is accredited towards delivering that to its members. So please contact them, know more, and if you need to understand better, also you can email me. Okay? Thank you, Nick. Thank you very much. And yes, it is competence, it is behavior, and it's all about the process from now on as well. It's an updated competency framework. Everyone would need to start working with it at ICMCI. Like you mentioned in the morning, there will be a grace period for it to be implemented. But yes, we have something new on the table, something updated, and that is what we use in order to elevate our profession. And by the work of all of us, we end up elevating it to new standards, to a new level where we would finally get to be the voice of the profession worldwide. And thanking Nick and talking about the standard, we also will continue talking about the standards, but this time with Olga from the Quality Assurance Committee. As you know, the standard is something that the IMCs would need to implement in order to certify their members, but at the same time, it is what the QAC use in order to audit the IMCs, assess the IMCs, but also in order to maintain its processes and how it works with regards and under the umbrella of the standards as well. As we all know, last year the QAC underwent the ISO 17011 self-assessment, and now they adhere to that in their processes. And with that, they were able to gain the authority to authorize the IMCs to being bodies of certification for personnel. And Olga is going to talk to us about all of that. And Olga, the floor is yours, my dear.
Thank you so much, Rima, but it seems that you already partly fulfilled my presentation, so what else I should add? Thank you, Rima, and thank you all of you, and really, you know, I'm looking forward really for our off-site meeting because, you know, we already start to like online, because last week during International Consulting Day, we also provided a conference with Dwight, with Nick, you know, and today again we online and all together and always talking about development of our profession and development of our community. But I know one life hack, how to be closer and how to feel each other a bit closer. You know, if you want to hug each other, and you know, we are now a lot of people online, just hug yourself and think about all of us. So please do it. and feel a bit better and a bit closer. Yes, Jana, I love you too. So, and as for my speech, which Rima already started, thank you, Rima. So I would like to add some words about it, and of course about the standards. Yes, it's true, and moreover, I also would like to add that yesterday it was Worldwide Accreditation Day. So, you know, and we are quite logically that consulting, conferences, training, and of course these three pillars which Nick was talking about, this competence, behavior, and processes. Very logical going to certification, because certification and of course accredited or authorized certification, it's really more valuable for the market and of course more add valued for our IMCs and for our members. Really, one year ago, I was it was really big honor to start to be a leader, to be a chair of QAC. And it was for me, of course, a new phase of development. And for QAC, it was also a new wave of developments. And really for 1 year ago, we get it authorized according to 17011. And of course, we did it to maximize the value that our work creates to our members. Because QAC mission is to provide independent assurance to our members and to be, of course, compliant with ICMCI standard and membership requirements. But you know that we do it already. We do assurance, we do these assessments for our IMCs, and we really good, brilliant certification scheme, which is actually developed absolutely according to 17024, and we do it already. So why do we need this 17011 and 17024? What do you think? Why do we need it? What is the add value for us? And of course, we do have some answers. And of course, we do have some answers which we would like also to have from you. And now we also would like to offer for you. Because of course, we think that accreditation and authorization, it's very important things. And it's very important things in our market. Because for the last year, I'm sure all of you know that for the last year, online training increased 10 times or even more in some countries. And certification, have you ever heard or have you ever Googled or surfed how many professional certification right now in the world, or right now in professional field, in our field? And there are plenty of, and we are the only certified management consultants, and we are the only organization which provides such a certification. And of course, with regards of being authorized according to 17024, you could add other certification, but this other certification really could already be distinguished from other certification, professional certifications, which are plenty in our market right now. So again, we do think and we do believe that it's really increased trust and recognition of our certification, and it's increased trust and recognition for our IMCs, which provide this certification for professionals. Secondly, it definitely could help us to benchmark our IMCs from the point of view of management system which help and which really provides this certification services, because we serve our clients, our members, our consultants, right? And it's definitely then could increase and improve their services and improve management even for of IMCs. And this was really our answer for that. And we really think that we really believe that this standard is to offer to the market qualified personnel based on independent and international recognition. Moreover, it definitely could create an add value, and we see this add value in other opportunities for IMC and even in revenue opportunities for IMC when you provide certification for your members and for your market. And again, it could enlarge the business opportunities of your members, of your certified management consultants, of your certified professionals. And that is why this international standards has been drawn for this objective of achieving and promoting the globally accepted benchmark for organization operating certification or qualification of persons. So again, we as QAC, Quality Assurance Committee, we are based on these three pillars, and actually it's also a basis of 17024. And we now really could offer to our IMCs as as international recognized personal professional certification body status, like authorization according to ISO AX 17024. So this is exactly what I would like to say. And again, we see a lot of benefits for our ICMCI and QAC as we achieve this authorization. Of course, for our IMCs, for our members, institutes which we serve as QAC. And then, of course, for you, for IMC, which really could give more add value for your members, for your consultants. Well, I see there are some questions. I don't know if we have time for it, but we also have a small surprise for you. We have a brilliant video from one of our already authorized IMC, Institute of Management Consultants from Kosovo. And I'm really happy that Henona made this brilliant video, and Austria is still in line, and Austria promised to have 2 videos to share their experience and their delightness of our good services from QAC. Thank you. And Rima, I don't know if I have time for questions, or I will answer.
I don't see any questions in my chat, so most probably people messaged you directly. You'll handle those, but first let's do the video. Khuzaima will be sharing that with everyone. Please, Khuzaima.
Please do.
The Business Consulting Council, BCC, has achieved international accreditation and becomes the second organization in the world to provide training and certification for digital transformation consultants. This accreditation was issued by the ICMCI. Accreditation to provide digital certification is essential, mainly because it helps ensure increased quality of services. This accreditation demonstrates BCC commitment to providing certification of consultant skills in Kosovo, with a goal to make our companies part of Europe's digital value chain. In 2020, just 2 weeks before the pandemic, we started training, and now we have about 44 consultants who have completed digital training, while 36 completed the training and certification in 3 areas: e-commerce, social media, IT security, data protection, and digital transformation.
As a management consultant and certified digital transformation expert, I have helped companies in all industries define their transformation objectives and further develop a step-by-step transformation journey, from business changes, process engineering, re-engineering, use of important technological solutions to increase productivity, enable automation, enhance audience, and penetrate new markets.
This business development services certification mechanism is in line with the best practices from Austria. Successful completion of this accreditation process led BCC to winning 2 donor-sponsored projects and 2 other projects to be concluded very soon. The benefits of these accreditations are positive impact on building digitalization skills to consultants and creating new capabilities to provide services in the field of digitalization, empowerment of consultants, stimulating digital transformation in private sector, and the increase of competitiveness for BCC, having the opportunity to provide certification in domestic level and in the region.
As head of accreditation program at BCC, developing management system conform ISO 17024 was very practical. It helped the organization to develop a structured approach toward each certification scheme. Since this accreditation with ISO 17024, training and certification process of new certified consultants with all certification schemes have become easier for all Kosovo and regional consultants. Having this opportunity in Kosovo, I consider that it benefits the consultants and also all other companies present in Kosovo and in the region.
We will continue to train and certify consultants from whom we expect to support the growth of the companies they will serve, to be that domestically or around the world. We wish you a happy
An International Consultants Day.
and best of luck to all IMCs with accreditation with ICMCI. Thank
Best of
you.
luck.
Thank you for being one of our success stories. And I know that everyone's applauding you. You can see that on the screen. And I do hope that many other IMCs follow your steps. We're ready to serve them, aren't we, Olga? Sure. Now we've talked about standards. We've talked about the NCI. We've talked about how we can shake hands with EBRD always. And now we're going to talk about the future. Talking about the future is for Gergana. Are you with us? I don't see you. I don't see your face. Your lovely face. There you are. Gergana, who's a vice who's on the board of ICMCI, a vice chair on the board of ICMCI, and she will be telling us about this beautiful initiative about the future of consulting. She's been doing the work for the past 2 months to make it ready for this launch, so it is being now launched officially. And Gergana, the mic is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, Rima. It is very exciting to talk in front of colleagues towards the end of this session, because many of the comments and insights which were already shared makes my work easier, because I don't need to repeat many of these things. So it is a great opportunity to present the new ICMCI initiative, and especially to launch it when we mark the International Consultants Day. With the time slot which is allocated today, I would provide an outline of 3 questions. Why we have or start the initiative now, what we aim for, and how we would approach the implementation. So not much to say about the new realities which we worked with. It's like coming out from a perfect storm where the environment is new and we need to see unfamiliar features to bring new context to the environment. And the COVID-19 pandemic is urging everyone to rethink the way they live, work, and socialize. So governments, institutions, businesses, individuals, they all have to adapt, we know that. And we see that as a great opportunity to position ICMCI towards achieving the vision to be a leader in the development of management consulting as a global profession that drives social and economic success. And how, so we would start this journey towards the future of management consultancies. And the board has approved the initiative back in February. As you have mentioned, Rima, we have met with a number of institutes after that to fine-tune, to present the idea, but also adapt to the approach. And I would like to take this opportunity and thank all the colleagues which we have met from Austria, Australia, Canada, China, India, Italy, the UK, Singapore, Switzerland. They all have provided their valuable feedback and enriching response to what we will be doing and how to approach the initiative, how to make the journey. So we need to start with defining the issues. What are the changes? And of course, the first thing we should do is start the question about how will our client's business change? Where will client need a leader? So we know as management consultants that we need to move as fast as the market we operate. And it was very interesting to listen to the representatives from EBRD who have mentioned about the entire new territories, about how to fulfill the sustainable development goals. And of course, we know about the great area of digital transformation and many, many others. So how would that affect clients? And we will be talking to clients on different sectors. We will be understanding what are the priorities in public sector, what are the priorities in financial institutions, maybe in startups. So we would really like to get the insights and provide that to everyone at ICMCI. How will information technologies change or bring value to clients and help consultants to adapt? We have been discussing the digital transformation on disruption for years. But during the pandemic, we saw that very quickly and almost seamlessly in many ways that digital disruption has turned to digital delivery. And many of the consulting services where possible actually also turned to digital delivery. The way we work, again, how will that change our relationship with clients? How and where we will work? This is also something which we need to work closer. And by how we are going to grow the business in the new context. We've heard about new business models. Which one would work? Will they be entirely new ideas about how we could cooperate and how we could grow our business going forward? Skills and capabilities, it's a paramount. We need to change that. But do we need exactly how we're going to do that? Do we have a roadmap for consultants to follow? Maybe this is something which would be coming up as a deliverable, as an outcome of the work which we will be doing. And of course, talking about the standards, we are extremely happy that we will have Nick Won in the team working on the future of consulting, because the committee has done so much, and I look forward to receiving the end results and actually implementing the new competency framework, and to discuss how we would ensure quality in the future, because something practices which maybe were considered as very good in the past, maybe they are not sufficient going forward. So this will be an interesting and big part of the work which we will be doing. So how we're going to work, we would like to work with everyone at ICMCI. We would like to offer an open source platform where not just meeting at events and organizing events, but also we would like to hear from ICMCI members in terms whether it will be insights, blogs, own surveys which we will be done. We would like to have really a very interactive communication. Something which is very close to my heart is the work with young consultants. We would like to give the floor to them We would like to help them grow, have their say, learn, and even take the lead. We might even expect, if there would be interest, that the young consultants one day might decide to have their own network within the ICMCI network. So it will be interesting to see whether we would be able to give that opportunity. We'll see how things will evolve. We will be very adaptable. We don't want to impose and have deadlines, and we want to develop the idea together. So we would leave that to them to decide what they want to do. And something which is also very important, I think, in our approach is that we would be looking for an external input. We would like to work with international institutions. For example, the presentation by EBRD was showed that we have achieved a lot in terms of developing the consulting market, but what could be done on the next level, how we could be building that relationship and achieve more tangible results, sustainable results in the future. So this is something maybe which we should be talking to them, talking to clients, talking to the consulting community on a wider basis. And an interesting discussion will be to see whether we have parallels and distinguish ourselves from the other professional services associations. The borders are blurring between the professions, and maybe it will be important for us to distinguish where management consultants stay, to shape our space and own it, as one of our colleagues have said. So talking to community in large, talking about our role would be also part of the work which we will be doing. And now I'm very happy to show you the team. We have a truly international team with colleagues from all around the world. The time now does not allow me to talk more about them, but you will hear from them. They all bring their own stories, big, rich stories of consultants. They're also very active in the institutes they represent. And so I would just mention maybe the name and the country at this stage. So we have Dr. Amit Perania from India. I think Amit is at the call. We have Brendan Williams from Australia. Donna Ringrose, our youngest member, with whom we will work on the Young Consultants stream. Donna is the Executive Director from Canada. I come from Bulgaria. Mark Pfeiffer is from Switzerland. Nick Mann is from China. We all know about Nick Won. I don't need to introduce Nick. Rima also from Jordan. And we have Dr. Drexler from Austria. So we'll have a very good balanced team from around the world. And what we would like maybe to do is that we will just to once again reiterate the approach which we will be following. We would like to offer a platform for everyone. It's not us working as a task force, it's us encouraging and working together with everyone who would be interested to talk about the future of the profession. We want to be adaptable. We want to start with these questions, but maybe we would then expand them. We are happy to take more people on board and to have other discussions as well. And we would like to work in an integrated way with the other ICMCI initiatives, whether we would provide input to help Nick want to implement the new competency framework, whether we would provide input to Robert on the ISO 20700 review, which will start from next year. And we want to achieve measurable results. It might be easy to talk about the future, but we want that to be seen as something tangible. So starting with the questions, we will be looking for solutions, and we will be offering to the board specific actions to implement so we can really grow the profession. And that's it. We would like to invite you to join us at the journey and shape the future of management consultancy, not only to understand what it is, but really influence it. And let's do that together. Thank you.
Thank you, Gergana. Yes, hand in hand is how things happen. We should shape the future and we should lead it. So the work that you're doing now is something that will put us on the right step immediately. Thank you for that. Thank you for the presentation. And one thing, Donna is the youngest, but we're all young at heart, my dear. We're all here to serve. We're all here with the spirit, and we're all young at that because we're all still learning and we're all trying to lead the future, like you said. So thank you very much, Gergana. I know that it would be wonderful work, and everyone will keep you updated with the steps each and every step of the way. Most probably at the annual meeting, we will have something to show everyone as well. So thank you, Gergana, again.
Thank you.
Now we come to something that is very important, where actually everything that we talked of today, including findings from the future of consulting, will go in there as well. And that is the book of the consultancy. And that is an initiative that is led by Simon Haslam, the chair of our academic fellows. He talked of it last year and will talk even more about it now because there are updates that he wants to share with us. And it's all about the book of consultancy that ICMCI will be publishing. Simon, the floor is yours.
Rima, thank you very much. And hello to friends and colleagues, and happy International Consultants Day. I'm just going to share a few slides to bring us up to date with the progress on the consulting book. We started the consulting book probably the back end of 2018. And the context for it is quite straightforward. There are many books on consulting, but they tend to have a very focused perspective. So you can have books written from the European perspective of consulting, books of the North American perspective, and these texts are really quite strong and valuable. But the ICMCI remit is a global one. So our task was to pull together a book of consulting looking at practice and skills and behaviors which had a genuinely global perspective to it. So I'm just going to share my screen and just a handful of slides just to document where we have got to in terms of the book. So my role, as you know, is as the chair of the academic fellows. And I think this is important because we are bringing in the conceptual understanding from research of how we understand that consultants do what they do in the value we create for our clients. But the book goes beyond the conceptual and theoretical perspective, and it's very much seeking insights from consultants around the world, CMCs and other consultants. The framework and the anchoring, as Rima has intimated, is absolutely rock solid with what we have shared in this meeting. We are drawing on the CMC competency framework, and we are drawing on the ISO. And I'm very excited to learn about the developments of the competence framework to make sure that what we bring in terms of a publication is fresh and is contemporary. Our target for publication is 2021, as in later on this year. And the progress we've been able to achieve, from my point of view, is very encouraging. We have a structure for the book, which is to draw on an initial scene setting and introduction, and then to link with Gergana's initiative in terms of the future of consulting to make sure we orientate forwards rather than backwards. The working headings we have been structuring content around how the consultant, how they develop their skills to become more proficient as a consultant, how consultant will build a sustainable consulting practice and business, and that will include what one does as a solo entrepreneur and what one does to build a firm and even a firm on many sites. How we go about creating clients in the first place, so the marketing and selling of consulting projects, and that important aspect of how we then conclude successful project delivery, and generate genuine value for our clients. So very similar to where Ghana was taking us into the future of consulting, it is very much a crowdsourced initiative. So the invitation went out globally to ask people to contribute insight from the practice and from the field. Under these headings of how you develop skills, build a business, sell projects, deliver great value, we have now received 174 separate insights and examples from around the world. And I think that's very encouraging, because what it means is when the book is published, it will represent a multiple array of voices, cultures, perspectives, and contexts. And yesterday, preparing for this meeting, I did an add up of how many words the insights cover, and we already have 24,000 words to back these insights up. So the writing of the manuscript is underway, and we're using our working headings, we're using the ISO and the competence framework as reference points around which to hang these particular areas of insight. So we're on a good way in terms of creating the book, but the plea comes out finally from me to ourselves and to our colleagues to hopefully contribute more. We would especially like consultants from Africa and Latin America to furnish more examples, and that will help us with the global balance. And we would especially like more insight in the area of digitization. So what do we as consultants do to build up a digital profile brand? What do we as consultants do to use social media in terms of enhancing our reputation with clients? What do we do in terms of the management of risk? And that's not just management of risk on a consulting project. It is about how we develop our own practices with that risk envelope in place. Practice around employing people. How do we go about as consultants onboarding new people, working with associates, working with partners, and even bringing people onto the payroll? And with a glance in the future of consulting and what we've learned from the pandemic, what are we doing at the moment to diversify our business model? So if our core activity is consulting, many of us are fully aware of having augmentations so we have a more resilient platform. So what does that look like and what does that feel like? So in summary, the progress for me is very encouraging. My thanks go to Rima, Hizema, and the team centrally for acting as anchors at the core of this project, and to Johanna and the colleagues in the marketing fraternity whose energy around social media has created not just a profile but also additional content. We're on the way with this, and my final plea would be to reinforce, if you can contribute further, and contribution further would be insights for about 100 words, would be really, really useful. If you can send those to the central office, an email into Rima and Hizema would be really well appreciated. They find their way to me, and I can continue to bring them into the way the manuscript is developing. So I'm very excited by the prospect. I'm hoping you can appreciate it dovetails very strongly, as Rima suggests, with the work around the competence framework, with the work around the ISO, and the new initiative around the future of consulting. And thank you for paying attention and listening, and also for many of you for contributing. So Rima, back to you.
Thank you, Simon. And it is one of the most, how shall I say, enthusiastic type of projects that we're working on. We'll end up with the book on consulting. That's how I see it. And I hope that's how everyone will see it. And that's the spirit that it's being prepared with. We want this to be the book on management consulting in the future. So please, if you have insights, if you have anything that you want to share, Simon has his email open. I have mine. Send us any contributions, and let's see how the editing of that will end up producing the book that we're all waiting for. I'm sorry to say that this is the end of our event today. Um, I will give the mic to Dwight for his closing statement, but I would like to mention one thing. Tomorrow you will receive a very nice email from us, and it's not about this event, it's about a new thing that we're starting with IMC Ireland, and it's about webinars and courses in cooperation with Google Digital Garage. So keep tuned for that. You will receive the email, you will receive the information, and please make the best use of it. So I'm ending with a good note and giving back to Dwight for his closing statement.
Thank you very much, Rima, and thanks for facilitating this event. I know you have lots of things to juggle, so I really appreciate that. I know we're at the end of our scheduled time, but I just can't let you go without thanking the speakers and thanking all of you for being here. It was very insightful for me. It's the second time I've seen most of these presentations, and I learned again from each of them. So it's really, really great. Nadia and Natalia, thank you for joining us from EBRD, a really true partner, as Rima has said. Your support to SMEs, the small and medium-sized enterprises, which are the engine of most economies, is really important, and we appreciate that. But more so, the support of the profession and leading by example and providing funds to small and medium-sized enterprises so that they can use management consulting and learn the impact of management consultants. And then beyond that, helping to train and supporting us in many instances in the training of consultants and the generation of CMCs, and for licensing the ISO 2700. So lots of really good things happening there. Robert, your work on the NCI and the work of the task force is really, really important. This is the creation of new knowledge. It's given us insight into the development of management consulting in economies around the world, and a tool that is very, very helpful to the profession globally. And the good news about the growth of 5%, I've seen similar type of growth extrapolations from other sources. So I think it's bang on. But yes, of course, variability. What else is new? So we as consultants do have to learn how to work in different economic situations. Nick, the competency framework, this is fabulous work. We do want to be best practices as a profession, so keeping our competency framework up to date is critically important. And that does mean a lot of work for you and Olga and QAC and your committee to figure out with institutes how we update all of the recertification and the for CMCs, but it'll be absolutely worth it. I really loved the formula that kind of came out of your presentation, Nick, that competency plus behavior plus process equals people, profit, people, and planet. I had to misread it. So it really is all about not only the client organization and the client experience, but it is also about the profession, and it is about society, and all of those things together are really, really important. Olga, ISO 17024, I think that is one of the biggest breakthroughs we've had in recent times. Your statistic that online training has gone through the roof 10 times, I believe that just looking at my inbox and the offers that we get for training programs. And what's happened as a result is there's a real commoditization of online training. Most of it is free, so trying to sell online training is getting to be very, very competitive. And the quality is not really assured. You're not sure what you're going to be getting when you log on to some of these things. It could be good information. It could be somebody trying to sell their best idea. So the idea of being able to offer the personal professional certification, and institutes having the ability to do that, does set them aside and does show that mark of excellence in terms of the material that we're giving. And it's not necessarily only for professional management consultants. It could be professionals in client organizations as well. So I think it does give some opportunities to institutes to spread their wings even a bit more in their territories. And the future of consulting, Gergana, really, really important work going on there. I love the think tank approach where you're bringing together some of the best thinkers from around the world, where you can think how to draw in others from around the world to really advance where we're going as a profession. Most of the work of ICMCI over the last year has been really looking at what is the value proposition to draw consultants into the profession. So that's membership in institutes, basically. So thinking in parallel to that about where is the profession going and how do we leverage those changes and how do we ensure that we're best practices and leading in all fields is really important. So thank you for that leadership. And then finally, Simon, consulting book, yay, a book for ICMCI and from ICMCI. And with that global perspective, I agree with you. Just don't search Amazon on consulting if you want to find less than thousands and thousands of books. But to have one from the global perspective based on insights from consultants around the world, and then with the academic fellows elaborating on that in terms of the chapters that will follow, I think that is really, really exciting. So thank you to all. This has been very insightful. Josema, thank you very much for keeping us on board and all the logistics in place, and Rima for facilitating and managing this process so well. Thank you very much. So I've taken us a few minutes past the end, but I appreciate your time and I want to thank you and wish you all the best for the rest of your day. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
and
everyone.
We need a picture.
Yes, this is what I was going to propose. Please put on your cameras, everyone. And if I may ask you to stop sending to chat for just 1 minute until I take the photo so that it doesn't cover anyone's face. Please, everyone, put on the cameras. Okay. I will be taking it now. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot. And happy International Consultants Day.
Happy International Consultants Day.